The homeland of the Terminator, Erling Holland, Norway is one of the most livable places in the world, even if you have to go to jail here. Norway is located on the Scandinavian peninsula, sharing an eastern border with Sweden and bordering Finland and Russia to the northeast. With a total area of 385,207 square kilometers, Norway only has a population of about 5.3 million people. From a fairly poor country with quite harsh natural conditions, thanks to a reasonable oil exploitation policy, Norway has risen to become a top country in both economic and happiness indexes. So what is the secret of the Norwegians? Click to subscribe to the channel and start exploring with me. 1. A different approach to oil extraction. The history of most major natural resource exporting countries is often poor, polluted, corrupt, and with large wealth disparities, with assets concentrated in a few powerful figures. But Norway is one of the rare countries that has overcome this resource curse. It is the world's 5th largest oil exporter. Each year, Norway earns about $40 to $140 billion from oil sales. The first reaction of Norwegian leaders when they saw such large oil reserves was anxiety about a tsunami of money pouring into the country, how to manage that mountain of money, and the massive and unexpected invasion of multinational corporations into destroying Norway's environment. The key point in Norway's oil and gas development policy is that, unlike most other countries, the Norwegian government has used the state budget to finance 50% of the costs for oil exploration projects with corporations, while at the same time, policies have encouraged these companies to improve their exploitation techniques and strictly comply with environmental protection regulations. As oil and gas revenues have increased, the Norwegian government has established a financial fund, which is considered the property of future generations of Norwegians when the oil fields are exhausted. The country has established a special savings fund, storing all oil and gas profits and calling it the property of future generations of Norwegians. This financial fund, managed by the Central Bank of Norway, is owned by the Ministry of Finance. It is also the largest financial fund in the world, holding about 1% of the value of the global stock market and owning many other fields around the world. The fund recently exceeded 5 trillion Norwegian kroner, approximately 600 billion euros, and was worth 183% of Norway's GDP in 2013. It is expected to reach 200% of GDP by 2030. This magnificent figure has been widely reported, with impressive comments that, in theory, all 5 million Norwegians, from young to old, have become millionaires. Norway has accumulated 1 million kroner, equivalent to about 120,000 euros for each citizen. This is a success for Norway in managing its finances for the future. This, in turn, makes Norway an exception, while many other countries are struggling with mountains of debt. Number 2. The second longest coastline in the world. Norway has the second longest coastline in the world, after Canada, with a total length of more than 100,000 kilometers, including fjords and coastal islands. Thanks to this special terrain, Norway has a series of important seaports serving cargo transportation, fishing, and tourism. Major ports such as Oslo, Bergen, Stavanger, and Tromsø not only play an important role in international trade, but are also strategic transit points for goods in the Nordic region. Thanks to its cold, clean seas and rich biological resources, Norway has become one of the largest seafood exporting countries in the world. Norwegian cod, mackerel, herring, and king crab are popular in the global market. In particular, Norwegian salmon is famous worldwide and is considered a symbol of the country's aquaculture industry. When it comes to sushi, many people immediately think of Japan with its fresh, raw fish slices. However, few people know that salmon is not a traditional ingredient in Japanese sushi. Before the 1980s, the Japanese did not eat salmon raw because of concerns about parasites in wild salmon. In the 1970s and 1980s, the salmon farming industry in Norway flourished, producing a large salmon output. Therefore, Norwegian exporters had to look for opportunities to expand the market. Realizing Japan's potential, they convinced Japanese chefs that Norwegian farmed salmon was parasite-free and completely safe to eat raw. At first, the Japanese were hesitant, But thanks to a smart marketing campaign and the guaranteed quality of Norwegian salmon, they gradually accepted salmon as a new ingredient in sushi. Since then, salmon has become popular and has become one of the most popular fish in sushi today. 3. Public disclosure of income of all citizens. While keeping salaries secret is important in most countries, in Norway, anyone can look up how much other people are paid. In the past, the salaries of all Norwegian citizens were published in a book, and people used to line up at the library to read these books. But in the 4.0 era, to find such information, you just need to use a mouse and press a few keys. However, people have to consider before looking at the salaries of friends, neighbors, or colleagues, because they have to log in with their ID and they can see who is curious about their salary. According to Norwegians, transparency is very important, partly because Norwegians pay high income tax, an average of 40.2% compared to 33.3% in the UK, while the EU average is 30.1%. When you have to pay high taxes but realize that others are doing the same, you will feel that the level is reasonable. 4. The most luxurious prison in the world. Established in 1982, Bastøy Prison in Norway is located on a small island about 1.6 kilometers wide with attractive scenery. This is the home of 115 prisoners, including all kinds of criminals from drugs, prostitution, to rape, murder. Even criminals ranked as the most dangerous in the country. However, Bastøy is known as the happiest prison in the world because criminals do not have to go through prison life like other places. The time they spend on the island is more like a vacation. Around the prison there are no barbed wire fences or electric fences, nor are there armed guards or ferocious dogs ready to attack people. Prisoners live in small, brightly painted wooden houses with full amenities. Every 6 prisoners will live together in such a house. Here, prisoners do not have to wear prison uniforms, sleep in separate rooms, and cook their own meals like normal people. Every day, they raise livestock, grow crops, and cut firewood. There is no morning alarm here. Everyone has to wake up on time and learn to be responsible for their work. Working hours start from 8:30 to 15:30. At mealtime, they enjoy many delicious dishes, such as fish balls, shrimp, chicken, or salmon. After that, they can freely do whatever they like. For entertainment, they can sunbathe on the vast beaches, ride horses, and in winter, take a sauna. There is even a tennis court on the island for everyone to relax after a hard day's work and reform. Not only do they literally eat well and dress well, prisoners at Bastøy are also paid $10 per day and a monthly food allowance. The reason is that during the day, they are only provided with one meal in the main hall. The other 2 meals they have to cook for themselves. Therefore, they use this money to buy food and drinks at a mini supermarket on the island. Not only that, prisoners at Bastøy are allowed to contact family and friends using the public telephone system on the island. Each prisoner will meet up to 3 relatives and friends every week. In particular, there is also a private room here to help them solve their emotional needs with their spouses. However, the Bastøy prison model is still a controversial topic. Many people believe that good treatment of prisoners is not the main factor affecting whether they reoffend or not. In fact, only 16% of prisoners who have completed their sentences here reoffend within 2 years, while the average in Norway is 20% and 70% in Europe. 5. High social welfare. Norway's productivity, as well as its average hourly wage, are among the highest in the world. The wage gap between workers and managers is also lower than in other countries. For this reason, the gap between rich and poor is not as wide as in other countries. Norwegians have more vacation time than most countries, and their benefits and sick leave policies are extremely generous. Norwegian law provides 14 weeks of paid leave for fathers if they have children. Norway was also the first country to introduce mandatory paternity leave. In addition, women who give birth to small children are entitled to 12 months of paid leave, plus childcare subsidies. Norwegians never have to worry about weddings or funerals, which are covered by the Norwegian state. Education in Norway is almost free, with most universities and colleges being funded by the government. The elderly living in Norway are also very well taken care of. If they meet certain requirements, citizens over 67 years old will receive a monthly allowance of $1,000. All of this is thanks to the Norwegian government's good management of oil revenues and high taxes paid by its citizens. Number 6. Longyearbyen Town. The small Norwegian town of Longyearbyen, located nearly 1,050 kilometers from the North Pole, has a very strange rule. No one is allowed to die here. To explain this, because it is located above the Arctic Circle, Svalbard has temperatures that regularly drop below -15 degrees Celsius, sometimes as low as -25.6 degrees Celsius. If the dead body is perfectly preserved like that, any viruses or diseases in the body will also be stored. Therefore, if they want to be buried intact, Longyearbyen residents who are seriously ill or near death will be taken by plane or ship to another place to live out the last days of their lives in that strange place. If they unfortunately die before leaving the town, the body will be cremated and put in a sealed jar before being buried. But this is very difficult because residents here need to apply for a permit from the state. In Longyearbyen, residents and visitors are advised to carry a gun when going out, in case they encounter a hungry wild polar bear. It is illegal to hunt polar bears, so people can only shoot them in an emergency situation, such as a life-threatening situation. If a bear is shot, it is considered very serious and is thoroughly investigated by the police. 7. Children have the right to decide their gender. With parental consent, Norwegian children as young as 6 years old can self-identify as male or female instead of the gender assigned at birth. To live as their true gender, transgender people must undergo 5 to 8 years of sex reassignment surgery, changing their entire body to be recognized by the law. Therefore, with this law in Norway to change gender, people simply need to fill out a form and change their tax code. 8. Unique passport. Norway's new passport is not just a travel ticket, but also a work of art that lights up. At first glance, it looks simple with a minimalist design typical of Nordic style. In normal lighting conditions, the background image inside the passport is a natural scene typical of the country, such as sea, glaciers, forests, and wildlife. But just look under UV light, you will admire the whole Norwegian sky lit up with brilliant aurora, like a beautiful light show. Not only is it highly aesthetic, Norway's new passport is also equipped with advanced security technologies, helping to increase security and prevent counterfeiting. This is a testament to the perfect combination of art, technology, and national identity, making Norwegian citizens proud every time they hold their passport in their hands, and want to take it out to show off every time they have the opportunity to travel abroad. Number 9. Hegemon of the Winter Olympics. If the Winter Olympics were a movie, Norway would be the undisputed main character. The country dominates the snow and ice arena with a formidable combination of rugged terrain, long winters, and a spirit of sportsmanship ingrained in its DNA. Norwegians even joke that children are born with skis on their feet, showing that skiing here is not just a sport, but also a survival instinct. Thanks to the tradition of everyone skiing from kids to grandparents, Norwegian athletes don't have to go far to train. But they don't just rely on nature. Norway invests heavily in community sports, not in the super training style, but in creating a sustainable sports ecosystem. Combined with cutting-edge technology, from tactical analysis to equipment optimization, they turn each Olympics into their own playground. The result? Norway has won more than 400 Winter Olympic medals as of 2022, with more than 150 gold medals, far surpassing the giants like the US, Russia, and Germany. Every time the Olympics take place, the world wonders, will Norway give way this year? And the answer is always, no. And there you have it, Norway, the land where even going to jail feels like a luxury retreat, where your neighbor can casually check your salary, and where children practically ski before they walk. From taming the oil curse, like a financial Viking, to convincing Japan to put salmon in sushi, Norway has mastered the art of turning challenges into opportunities. If you want to uncover more fascinating facts, hit that subscribe button and join me in exploring the world's coolest country.